Welcome back, Engineering Design and Development. This next video is going to be about the second design review. So in the first semester we did our project proposal. That's where you guys did your research to determine what would be a good problem to solve, prove that it's worth the rest of your time working on it, things like that. Halfway-ish through the first quarter, you guys would finish your first design review, and that would be on basically the brainstorming process on to selecting your final idea. And then the second design review is going to be utilizing elements G through I, and let's go over those so you guys have a good idea of what I'm going to expect in this next review. So in element G, this is the creation of a prototype. So the objective of this element is to create a final prototype that is functional enough to test and exhibit your idea. So what kind of things should you include in here? This could be a visual or a virtual example. So you don't have to have a physical prototype for every single thing. Some things may be a computer program, right? You don't have a physical prototype. Creating smaller mock-ups, okay? So your final prototype would be ideally a full-scale working prototype, but mock-ups could be used to get to where we need to go before you spend a lot of time. So if you guys remember watching some of our Disney Imagineering videos, they talked about the creation of the Toy Story Mania ride, all right? And they talked about how they started with just 2 chairs and a paper towel roll. Okay, and then they built it out of plywood. And then they went on and started creating other different devices, right? So they built it in increments and tested it as they went along. So you could do that. Your final prototype needs to be have a well-documented instruction manual on how you created it. All right, the idea is that once you built this, you should be able to hand over instructions to someone else, and they should be able to do the same. They should be able to build your object based off the information they are given. Okay. Next, a bill of materials. This would be idea of what item, how many, what's the cost, where'd you get it from. All right, all those need to be included in your bill of materials. Then list and document any modifications made. You may get to a point in your project where you're like, all right, we hit this stopping point, we don't know where else to go, and to get to the next spot, we need to make some changes, so you would document that. That's element G. Element H is testing and data. So once you are done building your prototype, the next step is testing it to see if it meets the needs. All right. So the objective of this element is to demonstrate knowledge of incremental testing, which is you don't build the entire thing and then test it at the end. There are small things that you can test as you build. That way you don't have to take the whole thing apart. Or you get to the end and you realize that you need to change this thing that was put in at first, and you would have to go back and do much more testing to get back to that spot. So it's just test things incrementally, so that way you figure out something works early on in the process rather than at the end. Testing procedures. So you guys will learn how to create a testing procedure and document that. And then how we can show that we've mastered that objective is you should include all your test procedures along with a testing plan. So what tests are you going to do? How are you going to do them? When are they going to be done? Things like that. Documentation of testing. All right. So pictures, or Excel sheets. Keep track of your data. Take pictures. If you want, do videos. All right. But the more documentation, the better. And then, did you utilize any experts? If so, who and how? What did you ask them? What information did you gather? The next element would be element I, and that's analysis. So after you've built your prototype and now you've tested it and collected your data, analyzing that data. All right. Having all these numbers is great and all, but you can't do anything with it unless you utilize it to determine what worked, what didn't, what could be improved, all right? And so you need to prove that you analyze the collected data. So that could be a breakdown of each test, what you learned from it. Does it drive any decision to change things? All right, what are you changing? Point to the data that determined this change. All right, and then stakeholder feedback. So this would be a great time to do another round of surveys. Create a survey to give to experts once you've finished your product. Have them utilize your prototype. Give them, let them provide feedback. What works for them? What didn't? What could be better? Maybe it's not user friendly. All right, so those are things you want to keep in mind. And that's it for the second design review. So that's elements G, H, and I. You're going to do those. I do have some other videos that I'm going to put out that kind of goes into why we create prototypes, some examples that have been done in the past, things to look out for when building, same thing for testing, and same thing for analysis. All right, so with that, if you have any questions, go ahead and talk to your teacher, talk to the other classmates, and good luck and have a good day.